Show it up, show it up. It's an umbrella party, man, umbrella party. All are welcome to this party we hosting for carnival. We be waving and toasting. There's no need to pay. It's time to break away. Time to free your mind. Yes, it's party time. Bring out your umbrella. Show me, show me, show me your umbrella. Open, open, open your umbrella. Raise it, raise it. Push up your umbrella. Higher, higher. Bring your brown and your black and your pink and your green. Push it up in the air. Make some noise. What I seen with your blue and your red and your gray and your white. Raise it up in the air. Spin it round like a kite. It's an umbrella party. On the streets we carry on. Umbrella party. Laughing and we having fun. Umbrella party. Drinks in hand we jumping round. Umbrella party. Blow your whistle, make a song. Push it in the air. Push it in the air. Raise it in the air. Raise it in the air. Show it in the air. Show it in the air. Way up in the air. Way up in the air. It's an umbrella party. On the streets we carrying on. Umbrella party. Laughing and we having fun. Umbrella party. Drinks in hand, jumping around. Umbrella party. Bubble and spoon, yes, make a sound. Oh boy, oh boy. You ready for this one? You ready for this one? Yeah, man. Who goes there? It protects you from the rays of the sun and shelters you when the rain's coming down. Walk with it in hand, hold it or expand, and as the revelers go by, raise it to the sky. Bring out your umbrella. Show me, show me, show me your umbrella. Open, open, open your umbrella. Raise it, raise it. Push up your umbrella. Higher, higher. Bring your red and your gray and your white and your blue. From above, looking down, party nice. What a view with your brown and your cream and your mauve and your black. Raise it up in the air. Higher still, lead it back. It's an umbrella party. On the streets we carrying on. Umbrella party. Laughing and we having fun. Umbrella party. Drinks in hand we jumping round. Umbrella party. Show your ways to make a sound. Push it in the air. Push it in the air. Raise it in the air. Raise it in the air. Show it in the air. Show it in the air. Way up in the air. Way up in the air. It's an umbrella party. On the streets we carrying on. Umbrella party. Laughing and we having fun. Umbrella party. Drinks in hand, jumping round. Umbrella party. Scream real loud, yes, make a sound.
The umbrella in the air, we laughing and having cherry jumping up. It's fast, no stop.
Yeah, man. Yes, I like that, I like that. Sound real good.
We drinking and carrying on, yes, waving and having fun. We jumping up, no time to stop.
Push it in the air. Push it in the air. Raise it in the air. Raise it in the air. Show it in the air. Show it in the air. Way up in the air. Way up in the air. It's an umbrella party. On the streets we carrying on. Umbrella party. Laughing and we having fun. Umbrella party. Drinks in hand we jumping round. Umbrella party. Blow your whistle, make a sound. Umbrella party. Oh, yeah, me, you're going out. The sun too hot. Umbrella party. Walk with your umbrella, girl. Umbrella party. When the rain falling, since when never stop you? Umbrella party. You want to see the umbrellas, man? Bring it out. It's an umbrella party. Yes, we carrying on the streets. We carrying on this umbrella party. Laughing and we Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benscop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benscop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benscop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop.
This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right. Hey, good evening. My name is Mark Benscop, and welcome to Straight Up. We're going to rock and roll for how long you guys want us to go for. You guys just tell me. We have so much that we want to talk about. And don't forget these houses, right? Look at these houses. $5 million. And up to now, we can't get an update on these houses, who is really going to be going into them. Lots of things we want to talk about this evening. And when I say lots of things, I really do mean lots of things. Good evening to you guys. It's a blessed Wednesday evening. It's raining. I'm not sure. Is it raining where you are? It's raining where I am. And lots of rains, mind you. All right, so good evening. Share the link. We are going to rock and roll this evening. We are going to be joined by J.R. Crawford. Yep, J.R. is going to join us in a few minutes, followed by our accountant. Our accountant, Wayne Caesar, is going to be on with us. And we have a lot to talk about, lots and lots to talk about. We want you to be aware of so many different things, right? And this is what we do here on 107.1 FM. We have Dr. Mark Curtin is going to be on with us. Dr. Curtin, we want to hear from him about this book, Building Bridges in the Amazon. We want to talk, we will be chatting with him for a few minutes. He has an event out in New York City this weekend, I believe. We want to get some information, and so that you can go out there, meet and greet Dr. Mark Curtin. All right, and then we got some bacchanal also, right? We don't want to mix up the serious business with bacchanal, but for now, let me just inform you, in case you haven't heard it on 107.1 FM. We give you the breaking news, right, Mr. Beresford? And so guess what's happening here now? Sarah Ann Lynch is wrapping up just a couple of weeks more. Let me see. Today is the 3rd. Let's just say another 2, maybe 3 weeks the most. Another 3 weeks the most. Another 3 weeks the most. All right. Another 3 weeks the most. And so the U.S. ambassador is definitely going to be exiting Guyana, and she has been there for about 3 years now. Sarah Ann Lynch. Don't. You haven't heard it anywhere else. I'm just saying this is just we have our reliable sources and so forth. Sarah Ann Lynch is leaving Guyana very soon. Again, I repeat, U.S. Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch is going to be out of Guyana, let's say within another 2.5 to 3 weeks. Another 2.5 to 3 weeks. All right. And then after that, what happens? A lot of you might be asking, after that, then what? Well, after that, she will be replaced by a career diplomat. And you want to see who her replacement is. Back-to-back female, right? Back-to-back female, from a Sarah Ann Lynch to Nicole D. Theriot. Nicole D. Theriot. She is just about to be confirmed, probably will be confirmed this week. And so she will be replacing Sarah Ann Lynch, maybe by the end of this month. We are in May month. And so Guyana will have a new ambassador. And now what's her background? Her background is immigration. She, some of you may know that there is a long backlog. Some of your relatives may have applied for you. You've been waiting for 15 years. And we're going to hope that there will be a reduction in that backlog, a reduction in that backlog. And Nicole Theriot, the next U.S. ambassador to Guyana, is still to be confirmed. There is no question about her confirmation. And Sarah Ann Lynch is on her way out. The U.S. ambassador to Guyana is on her way out. You can't say you haven't heard it anywhere else. Anywhere else. You heard it right here in Guyana. Right here in Guyana. All right. Dr. Curtin, good evening to you.
Good evening, and thank you very much for your kind invitation.
I'm glad to see you in your orange shirt this evening. How are things with you, sir?
Well, as I say, the weather is good where I am, and we're here, enjoying relatively good health. And I trust that you and all your listeners are doing the same.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mark Curtin. Mark Curtin, we're here to talk about a book. You seem to be writing lots and lots of books, which is good. Congratulations. But before we get into your book and before we get into that event you have out in Brooklyn, I believe this weekend, I want you to talk to our listeners and let them know where they can stop by, so forth and so on. But Ambassador Sarah Lynch is on her way out. Any parting words for the U.S. ambassador to Guyana?
Well, I think that she has had many challenges during her tenure, and I would wish her, as I think most Guyanese would, wish her well in her future postings and endeavors. So I would say yes, all the best to you, Ambassador, as you go forth.
All right, all the best to the ambassador indeed. Leaving, some Guyanese are, they have a saying, Guyanese long their mouth, swell up their mouth, and so forth. Some Guyanese swell up their mouth, some Guyanese haven't swell up their mouths, and so forth. She's leaving with pluses, and she's leaving with some people still vexed with her. Indeed, 107.1 FM would say that when she will be leaving, which is about another 2.5 weeks or so from now, we'll try to get an interview with the U.S. ambassador right here. That's if she wants to come and talk to us here at 107.1 FM. I don't see any reason why she can't, but she's welcome to come. I'd love to interview her, but she will be replaced by this other new person. Is currently the head of the consular section out in Pakistan, Nicole Theriot. She will be the new ambassador to Guyana. What direction Dr. Mark Curtin, what direction you'd like to see the new ambassador go from this current ambassador, the outgoing ambassador, Sarah Ann Lynch? Any advice for this incoming ambassador?
Well, I think that the United States foreign policy in relation to the Caribbean and Guyana must continue to focus on inclusive governance, the issue of transparency and accountability in governance. And I would like to see, the focus being on ensuring that the democratic process is enhanced with a broad engagement of all the stakeholders. And if that could be, one of the major approaches of the new ambassador, I would say that indeed the issue of inclusive engagement and constructive engagement should be a priority for the U.S. at this point in time in Guyana.
Absolutely, inclusive and constructive engagement with all parties involved, including the opposition as well, and to ensure then that there's a transparent process, there's a democratic process, and so forth. That's exactly what folks would like to see. Again, you heard it here first. Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch is on her way out. She will be out of Guyana. Let me check my calendar. Maybe another 2.5, or we can safely say by the end of this month. That is according to our source, and we can't say that our source is wrong. But just remember that you heard it here. That U.S. ambassador to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch, is on her way out of Guyana. Today, Dr. Curtin entrance exams, that's the common entrance. I think it's now called the National Grade 6 Assessment exams. Advice for our students who took it today, and I think they have some tomorrow as well. Advice for them, sir?
Well, strive for excellence, indeed. I think it's always important that, education be the key, because education is, in a sense, the opening up of, or the removal from darkness to light, to ensure that you move from poverty, because education, I think, is a key to the movement away from poverty to forms of enlightenment, development, and professionalization of individuals. So yes, I would say do your best, kids, and strive for excellence.
Absolutely. And as you know, you're here to discuss your book. We have J.R. Crawford and Wayne Caesar they're going to be on after. And then we will just have some fireworks thereafter. But for now, we're just warming up the seat. Dr. Mark Curtin, after you left QC, which was just the other day, mind you, Queen's College, you joined the Army. And so it is quite fitting this evening that I ask you what advice you have for this new Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force. Your take on this, sir?
Well, I had a very short stint in the military. First, it was my first job when I left school, and I think that it gave me a sense of discipline, a level of patriotism, the whole question of how you can best serve your country, without fear or favor. And I would hope that the new chief of staff would continue in that vein to ensure that there's objectivity and maturity in these approaches, and that as a leader, you lead with integrity, discipline, and ensure that all are treated equally.
All right, certainly, sir. I don't want to put you in a spot. It's not my intention, and you know that. I asked this question out of respect, especially since there was a commission of inquiry into the Lindo Creek massacre. Lots of unanswered questions. Of course, the new chief of staff is in office now under a cloud of controversy. The matter of the Lindo Creek massacre has not been settled. What advice you have for the Army and the Joint Services to once and for all settle this controversy as to who really murdered those folks at Lindo Creek?
Well, all I could say, Mark, I don't have the details, but I believe in the rule of law. I believe that any efforts at derailing, a process must be dealt with. And I would hope that at the end of the day, whatever the issues are, could be for the benefit of Guyana. My hope, my fervent wish is that as a Guyanese, we can see all stakeholders sitting at the table, benefiting in all sectors from the benefits, the results of all good that ought to come to Guyana. So, and the military is not an exception. I think we must all strive for togetherness, for a level of unity that has to be in the forefront of our endeavors as a people. So my advice would be to work hard, to strive to reduce any kind of acrimony, to develop a oneness of purpose, a sincerity of purpose as Guyanese. So that would be my view.
All right. Thank you so much for your view. One final question before you get to your book. The big issue right now in Guyana, I know there are lots of big issues in Guyana, but we want to touch on the forgeries and so forth, names onto the list. And we're seeing lots and lots of evidence that people's names were forged onto the PPPC candidates list and so forth. No criminal charges, nothing at all. They're just going to go ahead with elections as is. Are you at all concerned, sir, about these sort of irregularities?
Well, I would say that the Guyana Elections Commission must ensure that transparency and accountability are preserved, and that every effort must be made to ensure that what we get is fairness in that electoral process. So I think that it is important for the Guyana Elections Commission to look at all of the issues related to the questions that are being raised, allegations of forgery, etc., and that before the elections, and I think it's June 12th, that those issues be brought to the forefront, and the Elections Commission itself deal with them in a very efficient and effective and timely manner.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mark Curtin. It's Mark and Mark this evening. I've noticed somebody said there's a Mark and Mark this evening. Dr. Mark Curtin is with us. He's the author of yet another book, and we want to briefly touch on that. I've noticed, according to a note from our operator, Lemon, that J.R. Crawford is already backstage. We are waiting the arrival of Wayne Caesar so that we can talk about some very, very relevant and important issues. Before we do, Dr. Mark Curtin, tell us a little bit about this book, this new book, Building Bridges in the Amazon, Guyana, Brazil, Relations into the 21st Century by Raymond Mark Curtin. That is Dr. Raymond Mark Curtin. Give us a brief background about the book and how important it is that we should pick up a copy and read.
Yeah, well, basically what I do here is to assess the emergence and development of relations between Guyana and Brazil, starting in 1968, when the two states established formal diplomatic relations. So it's been a very complex set of relations over the years. One would note that at the time of the formal establishment, we had, just after our independence in 1966, we had threats to our territorial integrity, and the whole national security was threatened, both because of claims by our neighbors to the east, Suriname, and to the west, Venezuela, and indeed to the north, the Atlantic Ocean. So that here we had a neighbor who had established diplomatic relations with all of the states of South America and had really talked about the inviolability of borders, the sanctity of borders, while at the same time we were having some border issues. So I think as a state, as a neighboring state, and a state that has had that has borders with 10 states of South America, except two, Ecuador and Peru, that and have consistently supported Guyana in its controversy with Venezuela. I thought it important to look at and to assess the links as they emerge, and look at some of the challenges, the successes, and make some recommendations for the future.
Some recommendations for the future, indeed. You are going to be at an event in Brooklyn, New York this weekend, right? Tell us a little bit about that, please, Dr. Mark Curtin. And for those who are in New York City, Brooklyn area, Queens, and so forth, Staten Island, how they can drop by and possibly get a copy of this book and maybe just shake your hand as well.
Well, the book, I have been invited by the ex-GDF Association of New York to have a launch of this book in the US, in Queens. I think it's on Rockaway Boulevard. I launched the book in Guyana about almost a month ago, and I received this invitation and thought it would be useful to kind of broaden the audience in this important area, because I think I see Brazil as an emerging South American actor, very strong power in the global South. And I thought it would be important to kind of interact with the people in New York and allow them to raise some of the issues that they see pertinent to this publication. And so I agreed to be here on Saturday the 6th, at the ex-GDF Association at 11:30 to launch this book here. So as I said, it assesses, it looks at some of the areas, the complex issues that have emerged, in the relations, and especially now when we're seeing, Venezuela still aggressively asserting a claim on Guyana. And my view is that even if the ICJ, or when the ICJ, I should say, International Court of Justice, rules in favor of Guyana, whenever it is, I think it might be 2024, that we have to ensure that we establish a support base immediately to ensure compliance with the judgment of the court. And therefore, I think Brazil must be seen as an important actor, important contributor to that process.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mark Curtin. Dr. Raymond Mark Curtin. And the address, the date is Saturday, May 6th at 11:30 a.m. at the ex-GDF Association of New York Hall, 132-16 Rockaway Boulevard, South Ozone Park. You can't miss it. The address is right there. You guys go out and show Dr. Mark Curtin your support. In closing, Dr. Curtin, let's get something from you. Your closing remarks, please, because our firework experts are at the back of the studio waiting to come on for some fireworks. Closing remarks, please, sir.
Well, yes. In relation to the book, I would like to see, some of the recommendations taken on board. For example, looking at enhancing the relationship with Brazil broadly for Guyana, I would hope that we can have a situation or a situation can emerge in which all stakeholders are brought to the table. We see a new sector which has emerged, the oil and gas sector, and I would hope that the management of that sector would ensure that that the benefits which accrue from it could trickle down to the wider society.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark Curtin, and congratulations again on your book. Good to see you. Looking great as always. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
good work that you've been doing, sir. Appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll see you there at the ex-GDF Association, because I think it is important that we get a copy of these sort of books so that we get a better understanding of the history of our country. Thank you so much, Dr. Curtin.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Yeah. All right, Dr. Mark Curtin there. Don't forget this Saturday, the 6th of May at 11:30 a.m. at the ex-GDF Association of New York Hall. It's 132-16 Rockaway Boulevard, South Ozone Park, out there in Queens, New York. All right, so what is it now? Let's get ready for Straight Up, right? Just now it was Straight Up indeed. We have J.R. Crawford is with us, and we also have Wayne Caesar is with us, and we have all members of our audience. All of you guys are just waiting for fireworks. We're talking about political fireworks. We want to focus on relevant matters. We're not about to be distracted, but even when there is a slight distraction, a little mosquito or a little crop or a little frog just come in our way, you just got to brush it out of the way, mind you, right? That's just what we do here on 107.1 FM. But good evening to all of you. Yes, indeed, we focus on important matters. What are some of the things happening that you may want to talk about? We have J.R. Crawford is with us here, as well as we have Wayne Caesar is with us as well. Let's start off right away with the one that is actually always serious. I know you guys know who's the serious one here on 107.1 FM. That's Wayne Caesar. Wayne, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Mark. Good evening, listeners, viewers, everyone. Good evening.
All right, let's get to the one who's always smiling. Mr. Crawford, good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
All right, let's get down. What's bothering you? What's happening in your neck of the wood? Quarantine, we know local government elections around the corner. We also know that hundreds of fake names on the list and all these manner of things. And let us say to our listeners, please stay focused. We're not here. This is not nursery school individuals. And whenever we want to talk about an individual, we probably go in front of the Borby psychiatric ward to talk about a particular individual. But right now we are focusing on relevant matters. Mr. Crawford, what's happening there on the quarantine and the preparation for local government elections, sir?
Well, almost all the NDCs are riddled with fraudulent activities on them. And I haven't seen where those people that are not supposed to be there, they're folks who don't have the required signatures, who don't live in the NDC, but they're on there as councillors. And I haven't seen them being removed. And when you look back, I mean, this is a clear indication of what the PPP were doing for many, many elections. Not only the local election, but also for the general election. And they were quick to point the finger at the PNC. But for some good reason, they've been exposed because they get too overconfident. Because we've seen where international people are running around into their strongholds or in their big shot, backyards and these things. And they were not there with trying to enforce the law and make sure that everybody was being treated respectfully. So otherwise than that, the hardship is here. It's taken a lot of toll on people where the cost of living is not being addressed. We are seeing more of the disposable roads, things like a stadium or private hospitals. That is not going to cut it for the people who cannot afford to, feed their children or feed themselves. So we are seeing something where the supporters of the PPP are blatantly being disrespected by being, given stadiums and disposal road, and nobody's addressing the need for, you know, the cost of living,
Cost of
and
living and
more
the ordinary.
important so now,
Yeah.
the abuse of women. Before you build a stadium, build homes and institutions where mothers and children can be protected from being abused.
To give Jack his jacket. They are building homes, Mr. Crawford, and again, I stress on all of my guests when they come, they got to be fair. On Straight Up, they got to be fair on 107.1 FM, and it's unfair for you to sit or anybody else to sit and say that the PVP they're not building homes. They are building homes, sir. But continue though, just to let you know, they are
Right.
building homes. But I agree with
Now,
you 100%. They're not doing anything in terms of enhancing and empowering the ordinary folks in Guyana. With that said, Mr. Crawford, let us bring Mr. Caesar on. Mr. Caesar, the forging of names, lots and lots of forgeries. As Mr. Crawford said, that the PPP got skin up, as we say in Guyana. They got skin up in so many different ways. And so I just want to reiterate to our listeners that we intend to stay focused. No demonic forces, no molly popping pill individual is going to distract us from anything. We want to remain focused, guys, right? But we will come to some jabbing time as well, because we don't take jab on political jabs, mind you. But Mr. Caesar, what's going on? All these evidence of skullduggery, evidence of irregularities, that the PPP is up to their old tricks again. Old tricks again, sir. Your take.
Well, Mark, I would first start off with the Guyana Election Commission. I don't think they've really satisfied their mandate of providing a clean list for the local government elections. That being said, Mark, based on what we're seeing with all these inconsistencies, fake names, one person signing for 25 different people, all the different inconsistencies that we're seeing across the board with the PPPC, this is not new. They have been rigging elections for 23 years, man. It's Mark. It's like when a dog suck egg, man. You can't stop the dog from sucking egg, man. They've been sucking eggs for 23 years, man. So now they're basically rigging an election right before our own eyes. They are lawless. They are barefaced. They don't care. This is what they do. That's what they. This is what they're all about.
Lawless, Mr. Caesar, barefaced, they just don't care at all. Lawless, barefaced, they just don't care at all. And those are the type of people they love to attract within their folds. The lawless, barefaced, conniving, you know what I mean? Trench crappos, in every sense of the word. The corrupt ones. We'll get into that again shortly, but you guys heard the news. At least you haven't heard it anywhere else, but you heard it from 107.1 FM that the current U.S. ambassador to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch, is on her way out. Your take on that, Mr. Crawford?
Mark, I was looking at the hearing, the confirmation process in the United States, and personally, I wasn't too impressed with the potential incoming ambassador, the way she answered some questions and the facial expression. I'm inclined to believe that we'll have more of the same.
More of the same.
Because when you look at the body language and the reluctance to answer certain critical questions that were put forward to her, I wasn't pleased as a citizen of this country that we will see, a 180 in the behavior of the U.S. envoy here.
What are two things that you expected U.S. Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch to have done during her 3-year stint in Guyana that she didn't do, that you really were looking forward to?
She was not fair across the board to embrace every single Guyanese, regardless of which political party they support. well, of course she didn't care. She was always up in arms with the PPP sect, and I didn't see her anytime during her tenure here where she was forcing the issue that she must meet with the people who are being oppressed year after year after year. So it was as if we were reliving our foreparents' slavery experience, where we were not valued as human beings, more so as a commodity. And it was a I mean, an unpleasant way of dealing with international duties. So I am actually glad that she will be out of here, but I'm saying I'm still up in arms with the incoming replacement.
All right,
That's my
we'll get to a comment or so on that shortly, but let us, Mr. Crawford, let's move over to Mr. Caesar to get Mr. Caesar's opinion on the departure of the current ambassador. We can say the outgoing ambassador, Sarah Ann Lynch. It's not yet official, mind you, but we are discussing that because we are 99.9%. We believe that we are accurate that she will be leaving in just about 2.5 to 3 weeks' time at the end of this month. Mr. Caesar, what is your take on the outgoing U.S. ambassador to Guyana?
Mark, in anticipation of Ambassador Sarah Lynch, leaving and, completing our duties in Guyana, she have lost an opportunity to be very impactful in a positive way. She was impactful, but in a very negative way. She's missed an opportunity to be very impactful in a positive way.
What are two of the things that she should have done that would have made her impactful, according to you? What are two things?
All right. So, Mark, all right. So, Sarah Lynch was very biased in favor of the PPP. She did went out to Dallas and she gave a speech saying that democracy won. I don't know where she sees a democracy in Guyana, because I personally do not consider Guyana to be a democracy. So I feel that she was using that word quite conveniently. And I also feel that Sarah Lynch is very frontal and engaged in issues that are convenient to her. For example, they would talk about our voters list. I don't even think Sarah Lynch, Mark, has acknowledged that the PPP government has been oppressing Guyanese that do not support their dictatorship. I don't even think she acknowledged that in going out. So I bid you good luck in trying to get an interview with her.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your frankness. We got a comment here from Shondell Jerick is saying, I wonder if Priya will give her the lovely cuss out too. Priya Manik-Chan certainly can do that. Let me just have you guys know that Priya Manik-Chan is banned from entering the compound of the U.S., whether it's the embassy or particularly, I believe, the residence of the ambassador. Since that event with the then ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Guyana, Brent Hart, where she was at the U.S. residence there and just cursed him out, or cuss out, as we would say. She has since been banned from entering the residence. That has been many, many years now. I'll be surprised if that ban has been lifted. Let us go over to the incoming ambassador, still to be confirmed, mind you, still to be confirmed, and I am sure she will be confirmed maybe by the end of this week. That's just my take on it. Mr. Crawford, here's your opportunity again to describe and probably to advise, in your words, the incoming U.S. ambassador to Guyana.
Mark. When somebody is an ambassador to a country, and you're making a representation for your country that you're coming from to assist this country, especially if it's a growing nation. You have to listen to all the different sides. You have to be able to be honest and deal with people across the board, not going, especially to people who are on your country's terrorist list or watch list or money laundering list, and you're cozying up to them, having parties, attending parties and all these things, while 90% of the country is struggling to make ends meet, and not one time you're there going out to the Buxton, the Beirut, the Little Africa, Little India, the Bangladesh area, to see how people are struggling and what recommendations can be made or any aid to give those people a little relief. But you're conveniently being seen at all these high-end parties with questionable characters. Those are not what an ambassador does. It shows corruption. Don't tell me it's an investigation ploy. In that, ambassador is not an investigator or a federal bureau staff. They're there for economic and other social issues to be addressed by their country. So I don't buy the behavior of the current ambassador. I think it's a total disrespect to people who do not subscribe to the PPP, and more so, which I hate to say, but it was like throwing mud to African heritage people by just don't give a damn of what the struggles are.
Absolutely. We'll stick a pin on that too. Thank you so much, Mr. Crawford. Advice for the incoming ambassador, mind you, who is yet to be confirmed. And with the Democrats having the majority, I believe they have a one-seat majority there in the Senate. It is almost likely that she will be confirmed and will be confirmed very soon. She did, in her statement, she did say that, and I quote here, I am grateful for the confidence the President and Secretary Blinken have placed in me, and I'm thankful for your consideration of my nomination. If confirmed, I will work closely with you and all members to advance our nation's interest in Guyana and the broader Caribbean. Over the past 24 years, I have been privileged to represent the United States in 10 countries on 4 continents. Any success I have had was made possibly by my family. So I would like to thank my spouse, so forth and so on and so on. But here it is that she's talking about. She did say that I am familiar with the challenges and opportunities that exist in Guyana, and we'll stop at that. She is saying that she is aware of the challenges and the opportunities in Guyana. Mr. Wayne Caesar, your take and your advice for the incoming ambassador, mind you, to Guyana, U.S. ambassador to Guyana, yet to be confirmed. She will be confirmed unless a miracle happens. She will be confirmed. But go right ahead, sir. Your advice for the incoming ambassador.
Yeah, my advice to the incoming ambassador would be to, come in with an open mind, come in with a clean slate. Let's start all over again. She needs to put her imprint, on the ambassadorship, and try to, meet with all on sundry, be fair, be unbiased. We know that she is there to represent, the interests of the U.S. and, as JR say, social issues and these kind of things. We understand that she's going to be a very impactful person when it comes to Guyana and its development. I would say, she needs to be fair. Don't just choose to speak on matters that are beneficial to one side and not to the other. And, if she's going to speak on our elections, she should be calling for a clean voters list. I hope she said she's seen a lot of things and she's aware of the challenges. Well, I hope the PPP rigging is one of the challenges that she hopes to take care of.
All right, the likelihood that she will be. She was nominated since last year, a couple months shy, maybe 4 or 5 months shy of a year, but she has been nominated since last year. She will be confirmed, and then she will be packing her bags and heading to Guyana. Sarah Ann Lynch is on her way out, should be out of Guyana by the end of this month, and preparing for Guyana. Will be preparing to have a new U.S. ambassador to Guyana by the name of Nicole. Nicole will be there. I hope that Nicole would get a hold and understand what's happening. I'm not sure if she watches this program, but if she does, good evening to you, incoming ambassador. And I say incoming ambassador because she will be confirmed. Lots of issues, yes, lots of issues in Guyana, and the people are expressing themselves. They expect fairness, they expect that the oppression, and expect that the treatment, mainly meted out toward the persons of African descent, will be addressed, and the corruption at GCOM, the corruption at GCOM, and so forth and so on. So again, in advance, congratulations on her confirmation. Again, it's like I have a crystal ball in my hand, but congratulations on her confirmation. And I'll be the first to say welcome her to Guyana when she gets there. Mr. Crawford, Mr. Crawford, and Mr. Caesar. Let's get back now here to the. Let's get back to the. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the. I'm not sure whose alarm is that, but let's get back to the uh, permanent secretary and the phone being seized. And also, we have heard that there lots of money was actually seized as well. But according to the newspaper in Guyana, they're saying $9,999 she was traveling with. That comes as a surprise to me. But Mr. Crawford, you're laughing. You take the first bite of that question, please, sir.
Mark, anybody with any proper common sense, the threshold is $10,000, right?
Yeah.
Good. Why would I be running around close to the threshold? If you're over 9,000, you're there. It doesn't matter that it's not 10. You're going to raise red flags. But the problem here is that the governmental official of this regime has gotten so comfortable because, again, the former ambassador or the current ambassador, gave them that green light that everything is hunky-dory. Remember when they traveled to Texas and she made the statement and Wayne Caesar slipped up on this? Her speech, she said, "We won the election." She put herself on the podium as a Guyanese, which was very, very disturbing. And a statement like that from someone on a mission here, she should have been yanked out of the country instantly because it showed corruption. Back to these folks. These people are very comfortable because those international crooks that have been aligning themselves with this organization has given them the okay. Everything is okay. And that is what is going to trip them up, because when you get too cocky, you leave yourself open for blows. And this is what is happening. And we're not seeing the Home Affairs Ministry acting professionally by making proper disclosure statements about what is going on. So if the citizens have any sense of what is going on, they would see that they're being shunned from the wrongdoings, what is going on with their country, and it's going to affect them ultimately, because it's the poor who's trying to go somewhere to make a better living. And when we have this crookery in government, the officials are going to get away and go to some other place to enjoy life because they have the money. The poor people are the ones who are left stuck. And you said earlier in the program, you're hoping that the reduction rate for sponsorship will be drastically reduced. These are the reasons why our sponsorship takes so long, because of the corrupt nature of our country and our people. And we are not seeing that we are the cause of it because we are not holding those who we elect to be representatives of our interests accountable for what needs to be done. And as many people think that their voices are not important, every single voter have an importance in making or breaking a democracy.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Crawford. The information that we have at our disposal is that $9,999 was actually declared. That's below the threshold. I know, it's quite laughable indeed. We're not lawyers, but even if we were lawyers, we would have been competent lawyers to represent our clients, right? And had she been one of the clients, we would have asked her to be straightforward with us. How much were you really carrying? $10,000 for a 4-day trip or a 5-day trip to China, $10,000. Is that what you declared? But were there other amounts of money, U.S. currency, that you didn't declare? We're also hearing that a close relative of hers, we are assuming here, but I know that the husband has been also the subject of U.S. law enforcement agencies being on their radar. Just like lots of questionable persons out in Guyana who happen to be on the U.S. law enforcement radars. Lots of folks seem to be bonding together on the radars of U.S. law enforcement agencies. They soon will be under one umbrella. But it was said that a phone belonging to a relative, assuming that is that of her husband, was actually seized by U.S. law enforcement agency. The husband, according to report, is said to be on the radar, said to be on the watch list of U.S. law enforcement agencies. Any surprise, Mr. Caesar, that the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, and Irfan Ali, who happens to be out in London, preparing for the coronation of the king, mind you. I'm not sure what Norman Brung and crew are doing, whether they're going to have a protest out there in England. We're yet to see and hear whether Norman Brung and others will organize a protest there. But Mr. Caesar, are you surprised that the controversial permanent secretary, who is on the U.S. watch list along with her husband and along with their associates, the Mohammeds and so forth, are on a U.S. watch list? Are you surprised that the permanent secretary is still there and has not been asked to resign or fired?
Mark, I am not surprised at all. Like I said earlier, this government is very, very disrespectful and lawless. You know, they have no respect for the citizens of Guyana. They govern with no sort of integrity. All right. I know JR spoke earlier about the threshold of physical cash that one can have on them, $9,999. That's not the problem, Mark. It runs deeper than that. You wouldn't get your phone confiscated for that. This is deeper. There's an ongoing investigation here. And trust me, it's going to uncover some stuff. You know?
It
Let-
probably
let- let-
has already. 1 second, sir. It probably has already uncovered a lot of things. That is why you see some people are going crazy, mad. They're losing it. I wonder if they're losing it because they already suspect that they may have things on that phone about them as well, or maybe other stuff. So some people within the quarters, and we know who those people are, they're going nuts. They're going crazy. Lots of things on that phone, mind you. Lots of things. Mr. Crawford, why is she not out of there as permanent secretary?
Mark, when you have underlings doing your dirty work, how can you throw them out? If you fire them, you risk being exposed as a form of retaliation to you kicking them to the curb. And that is the problem. When you have corruption, it doesn't happen with one individual. It comes in groups. And there's always a fear that if you have to put someone out of the ring, you risk the possibility of that person being annoyed and being feeling that they're being abandoned, and that person will open up and put names out there, which would be an embarrassment. So the thing to do is bite the bullet and cozy up and try to let the issue wears itself off with time and hoping that it all goes away. Because remember, she would not be alone in this thing. This has a bigger network to it. So that's the reason why they would not be letting her go, because she could flip a switch and start calling names, and everybody would not be sleeping at night.
Assuming, because for 3 hours she was grilled. For 3 hours, you can
Well, she
imagine.
have already sang. You and I both know how the United States operate.
Oh, actually, I don't know nothing at all, but I could just imagine that she has been singing.
This is no, Mark. This is not an imaginary thought. We know how the United States operate, and when you see they talk to you for a length of time and they let you go, is the best thing. Is better for them to keep you. That's why Dataram choose to be inside than to be interviewed and let go. It's a dangerous thing to the mind once they toy with your mind and let you go on the street. You can't rest after that.
In the case of Dataram, he thought everything was hunky dory. So when
No. Dataram, what he did, that's calculated, my friend.
No, he thought everything was hunky dory. He thought that it was many years ago. He was ill-advised that the statutory of limitation may have ran out. And so when he swiped his passport at Timeri Airport, some corruption happened there. However, when he got to JFK, they were all right there waiting for him. And so he started to squeal. He's currently negotiating. He's calling names, all manner of names, because he's going to tell everybody who was under that umbrella. Everybody who was under that umbrella, because he wants them to bond with him in that very cell. And soon all of that will happen. But let's head back to Mr. Caesar. Mr. Caesar, what else we can touch on? Touching on the permanent secretary, touching on the money that she was carrying, touching on the fact that a close relative of hers was actually pulled in also for fitness. We've already touched on GCOM. Lots of things we have touched on.
Mark, the GCOM scenario, right, where the chairperson is saying that no one has given her any evidence of fraudulent behavior by.
You're at GCOM right now. Before we get to GCOM, though, I want to ask, what is happening on the quarantine? You are there on the ground. You travel the country as well. Are we to believe that lots of people are putting on these dingy-looking red umbrella material kind of T-shirts, red T-shirts?
There are some who have gone into the camp because they are looking at it as, what are we gonna do? We gotta eat, we gotta live. Those are the people who are not, what I must say, valuable to their communities that they dwell in. They are selfish. They don't care about the standards. They don't care about the morals. They don't care about the principles. There are some that went there and took the fast cash, and after they get home, they discard their uniform. These on the screen, these have been in bed with the PPP for at least 7, 8 years, 10 years, some of them. So no surprise there.
Some of them pretend as though they're APNU supporters or PNC.
Right, they're just money hustlers. That's all it is.
While they're sellouts, and we know some of those sellouts, those hustlers, flatfoot hustlers. So on the quarantine, though, it's not like how Jack Dave and others want to portray that, all these people are jumping over, wearing their red T-shirts and are heading over to the PPP. It's not like that, right?
true shift jumpers would be about 60, 70 individuals on the current team.
Oh man, that's nothing, and half of them are not going to vote for the
No,
PPP.
well, when you look at the recruiters for the PPP, then you'd understand most of these people are not valuable community citizens. They are thugs. They're dope smokers. You know, they are people with very limited intellect. I've seen a great many, and the
Yeah.
recruiters are people that, what I must say, beyond ungrateful, or someone without any proper moral standing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Some of them are ashamed to come out and say and put on their red T-shirt. They're ashamed to come out of the closet. They should come out of the closet, put on
You
their
know,
red T-shirt. They're ashamed to come out of the closet to put on their red T-shirt, but they are losing their minds behind the scene. We have a guy here, Isaac Davis. Doc, good evening to you. He's saying, some in Alness gone red. What's going on, JR? Are you losing Alness?
no, it's not that we're losing on this. There's some of the ingrates. There are people who are, like I said, their value is not there. They're dopes and they're potheads, or there are people that have a contracted comprehension. So you could expect some people to float around there when the local election, if it's been held, and you'll see the kickback. They haven't received anything. They're still grumbling that they were promised this and they promised that. One individual got $438,000 to buy backwards. He pocketed 3/4 of that money in his pocket. He's already about 80 years old and still believe he's going to live to be 150.
He probably smokes a lot of cigars too. You never know. But
No, he's always sucking rum.
well, at least he's doing like what some of those PPP.
And he is one of the individual that lives at number 1, but his name is on the PPP's list in my NDC. I'm waiting for them.
You got to expose them, Mr. Crawford. Thank you, Mr. Caesar.
Oh yeah, he's a relative of mine.
Oh, really? Okay, Mr. Caesar, what's happening? We're not seeing the red fever. In fact, what we're seeing is some of them who were supposed to put on their red, they're having some serious fever. The red wave is not really there's no red wave. Your take, sir. Caesar.
Yeah, well, Mark, you know, when you look at it, and I understand where JR is coming from with this, but I feel like if some of these people are getting wise also, because remember, the PPPC have a tendency of using people and losing them. So I think it's a reverse that's going on here. The people are putting on the red shirt, yes. And you have to put on the red shirt in order to receive the 20,000 or whatever you're going to get. So I could see the point in them putting on the red shirt, collecting the $20,000, and going and dump the shirt after. I am fine.
A lot of folks,
Mark,
have done that.
I know that these people are not going to vote for the PPP because it's that same PPP government that have these people financially unstable. The same government. So I am confident that there's no red wave, Mark. Forget about red wave. I don't even know how many supporters the PPP have out there now. And I'm confident that they could never win a fair election in Guyana. Never, ever win a fair election in Guyana again.
That is so true.
This is the worst government in the history of Guyana. The worst by far.
All right, the worst by far indeed, and they attract the worst by far indeed. The hustlers, the flat-foot hustlers, the molly pill poppers, and so forth. That's what they do. People of no consequence, people of no value, who pretend to have values and who pretend to have morals and who pretend that they are role models and so forth and so on. We see and we hear a lot of them. Are you guys surprised that here it is? That right after the former controversial mayor of Georgetown, oh God in heaven knows, but yeah, she was the mayor of Georgetown, is now cleaning streets, gutters.
Mark. Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yeah.
that individual, when she was the mayor of Georgetown, was sliding contracts to her son. So what you're seeing there now is a continuation of what was happening under her tenure. I have many friends in Georgetown who got contract taken from them and given to one particular individual. And even though their bid was lower, these people got in there, they cozy up to the then leaders, and it was all about fleecing the taxpayers to get personally, in their minds, rich. They were not there with any honest mindset. And that is why I said many years ago, politicians, elected officials need to be polygraphed. They ought to be a law in today's world where you put them under the polygraph to know if they're honest or not. At least you'll be in a better position to know what you're dealing with. Because they, by their deceitful and crookish ways, they're destroying the poor people's chances of being somebody or having comfortable lives. We as individuals who take leadership or seek leadership, we must be honest and look out for every single Guyanese, regardless of race, religion, or creed. But we're not seeing that. And the nation is progressing on a 10% level, and 90%, is suffering. And this is something that the people of this country need to start to understand, that yes, you may support Tom today, but if Tom is screwing up, kick him to the curb and look for Mary or John. And then they will start to behave themselves.
All right, 13 minutes after 10 o'clock. J.R. Crawford with us. Wayne Caesar is with us as well. We still have a few minutes remaining. Wayne,
Mark,
take the floor over.
well, yeah, because you've been it. I noticed yesterday on your program.
Yes, sir.
You were discussing an issue, an insignificant individual who claims to be a part of a legal fraternity.
Probably you're talking about that individual.
Yes.
Some mental issues. Okay. Mind you, 1 second. I'm not sure that he's a lawyer any longer. May have been suspended. Doesn't practice.
Well, I do hope that it happens. But what I would like to see is our followers on this program, this platform, publicly trash his ass, because for him to say something about Norman Brown's mother, he not only crossed the line, but he has jumped over to the deep end. And he knows who he can pick on. But God forbid he has talked about my mother. He wouldn't be talking again. This guy has gone way out of line. It seems that he is having a meltdown. It seems like this cat is on drugs, because it cannot be someone with a relatively amount of intelligence to behave that way. Mistress Brown, I'm sure, if she's alive, is over 70 years old. Is that the way we wanted to speak to about our elders? This guy has no manners and need to be taught a serious lesson. And somebody's going to fill his mouth one of these days.
Absolutely. Can't go wrong with you on that. And the guy is having a meltdown, a mental problem, and everybody is talking about that. In fact, people are already calling to boycott his business out in Melanie. We're hearing stories that even the folks at Melanie are saying that this is what they're alleging. This is what he's doing, is making Melanie Street a drug haven. Many young men are selling and smoking the drugs openly as a result of his so-called business, operating a bar from a cow pen. People are angry indeed. Mr. Caesar?
Yeah, Mark, I this guy being an attorney, I'm quite surprised why I would say so, Mark, because I have never seen one actually done a defamation of their own character before I've seen this guy here, because that's what he has done to himself, man. I think he would have just publicly ended his career, because he has been talking up for a couple of weeks now, a couple of days, I would say maybe 2 weeks or so. And, you know, I deem this guy irrelevant. I really don't pay too much attention to anything that he says. You know, he looks to be a bit deranged. That being said, though, Mark, I must say, and I agree with J.R. Crawford completely. Man, you want to embarrass a man, you tell him about his mother, man. That's the worst thing one can do, is to tell another man about his mother.
Well, actually, no real man does that. No real man
right,
does
correct.
that.
No.
So he
Mark,
is certainly not a real man.
in a disrespectful way, the things that he said about Norman Brown's mother, you know, that's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. James Bond, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And anybody who follows this guy, I don't know, man. I don't know, because I mean, JR, you know, back in the time, man, boy, we would beat this guy down like nothing, man.
That's exactly what he needs.
Mark, this is wrong. You can't do that, man. You can't do
He
stuff
has no
like that.
manners and no respect for his elders. What
Yeah.
has Mrs. Brown did to him?
You know, if Norman,
These are the things that you'll see and hear from slave catchers, indeed. And remember, slave catchers have to work for their masses, and that's precisely what he's doing, working for his massa. He has no other choice. And you know, we don't want to spend much days on this loser, this Looney Tune, this mental case individual. Crawford, you were saying something. Sorry.
No, that was me, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, also, I am of the opinion that we have been so impactful here on 107.1. We've had a profound impact on the PPP. And I think they may have just sent this goon out there to attack you and attack Norman. But James Bond, man, you're messing with the wrong people, man. You don't need to be doing that, man. You need to get back in your corner.
You know, no, he has no corner. He's ashamed because he has been caught. He's just a flat-foot hustler. That's what he is. And lots of people are already calling. You see who he's protecting, right? And remember, over the past month, this is what we have been focusing on. And he basically has to defend the people that he rushes to beg for money. These are the people that he has to defend, and so forth. The police is yet to arrest his friend and deal with other issues. We know the U.S. is looking for his friend, or his friend is on the watch list. Bond himself may be on the watch list of the U.S. as well for a bunch of different things. Could possibly be. But people are calling for a boycott of his business in Melanie. The people of Melanie do not want him there either. And so he may definitely, and Jack Dave and these guys, after all of this, may not want him either. But let me show you how disrespectful the guy is. And I'll just leave that as it is for now. Let the world see exactly what an idiot this individual is, this mental case individual is.
So because Mark is black, I can't tell you nothing. Mark, go suck your mother.
You heard him there. All of you heard him there. Now look, real men do not do that. I'm not going to sink myself into the gutter.
Are you sure he's a guy?
I'm just going to watch on. I'm not going to sink myself in the gutter. Real men don't do that. That is why he's
Mark,
come out of the closet.
Are you sure he's 100% guy?
JR, what are you trying to say?
Out of the closet.
Something?
And
JR, are you trying to say that you're onto something?
And again, 1 second, gentlemen. I'm calling on people to stop supporting his business.
So because Mark is black, I can't tell you nothing. Mark, go suck your mother.
They can only do that and get away with that to some extent in Guyana. And mind you, read my lips, to some extent.
Mark.
In the United States of America or any other developed country, these clowns, this mental case individual.
He's going to get it right from Guyana. He's going to get it right from Guyana. Trust me.
Maybe he should say why his law license was actually suspended. Maybe
he's going to get it.
Why he's on the U.S. watch list. Maybe he could say why he's broke. Maybe he could say why he's prostituting himself to the PPP. And he's ashamed of that. He's just ashamed that he has been caught. He's not a leader. He's not a politician. He's just a rank and file flatfoot hustler who has taken advantage of the people of Melanie by running and embarrassing the people of Melanie in that Cowpen bar that he has. Now, this is what this individual attempted to do, and this is what got him so angry. During the situation that Dion Bascom brought to the attention of the nation concerning the corruption in the murder probe of Fagundes. And now I want our listeners to hear this here. There is a body shop guy by the name of Anthony Singh who operates a body shop in residential area out in West by the ice truck. Residents have been complaining for a long time now, and that cars, burnt out cars, and all manner of things. And this guy, Anthony Singh, was being investigated by the police as to whether the runaway car, the drive-away car, in the murder of Fagundes was actually placed at this guy's body shop. And the guy's name is Anthony Singh. Anthony Singh is seen here with Azruddin Mohammed. Now, James Bond, that mental case individual, placed a phone call to me. I don't know whether he called from his Cowpen bar or wherever, but he placed a phone call to me. And this is why I'm saying that he can swar others. He can call Rickford Burke and swar Rickford Burke, the same Rickford Burke he started cursing out as well 2 years ago. Because any person who attacks the PPP and his drug lord friends and so forth, he is going to pretend that he is man enough. He's not man enough, and he's going to want to curse. That's his mental case behavior. He curses because he knows that he can go and collect his crumbs thereafter. Now, Bond made a call to me, telling me or suggesting to me that the guy who owns the body workshop is a PNC. Oh, he's one of us, he's one of us, and don't attack him and so forth. I was like, really? Because I know that is what Bond does. He tries to play or set himself up as the middleman. That is why he got Burke in trouble, because he pretended that he was the middleman with BM Soot and all these people. So anywhere he can make a dollar, he inserts himself. And so he called me and trying to swar me so that I can stop talk about these guys, telling me that Anthony Singh, the owner of a controversial body shop in West Rumveld. This is the body shop in West Rumveld. And that is when I realized that Bond was in for a hustle. So now he can call, I don't know, he called Rickford Burke and he was able to swar Rickford Burke, but he can't swar me. That is why he is upset. And he doesn't know if he wants to go the distance, we will go the distance, because Bond is what he is, a mental case. And you know how you treat mental case individuals, right? Especially when they're not taking their medication. He needs to take his medication, but he is in the habit of calling around and trying to mediate whenever it involves his friends, the friends that he goes and he pawns his vehicle, he pawn whatever else he got to pawn to ensure that he sustain his serious gambling habit. Crawford, you're about to say something.
Look, when you have an attorney behaving in this manner,
I was told he was suspended. He's no longer an attorney. But go ahead.
No, but the bar association needs to come out and issue a press statement, and they need to distance themselves from this individual, because he needs to seek mental help. Either he has gone over the hill, or maybe something is burning somewhere and he has lost touch with reality. The guy is a total disgrace to the folks of Region 4. And I do hope that the Bar Association issues a press statement. This is not something that we need to have him do. If he has a problem with Mr. Brown and you, Mark Benchop, address you two guys, but don't
No,
disrespect.
He's not man enough to that. He thinks that man enough is to open his
And
mouth and
when you realize that this guy has lost it and that he's become.
real men do not behave
No,
like that.
when he made live without wearing a shirt, he has thrown his credibility into the trash can there, and to see that this guy is nothing but a common street thug.
What credibility? Absolutely none whatsoever. He's just worse than.
Well, whatever he had. You remember years ago he had a bag run around with the Chinese with a couple $1 million to try to get to some people on a charge.
Everywhere he goes is controversy. Everywhere he goes is corruption. Whether it's the DPP chambers, whether it's going to Essequibo allegedly to coerce rape victim into basically allegedly telling them that they have no case and they should settle and all manner of things. Who does that? Come on, shame on that vagabond. Shame.
Well, Anil is going to make him sing.
Yeah. Shame. But we have far better things to think about. It's 10:30 almost. We got a lovely day tomorrow. Mr. Caesar, your closing remarks, please, sir.
Yeah. Mark, my closing remarks is that the People's Progressive Party Civic continues their economic and financial genocide against the Guyanese people by continuing to marginalize and oppress the people. We need clarity. We need clarity when it comes to governance. We need transparency. I know a lot of times, individuals who support the PPP, they look at us on this program and, they think that, these guys are always after the PPP, they probably want a government that's predominantly Black. Well, that's absolutely not the case. We want a government that governs everyone, that's inclusive, that's accountable to its citizens, a government that is committed, committed into serving the people, and also a government that's able to empower the people, provide financial stability to the people, bring confidence to the people. Right now, confidence in Guyana is pretty low, man. When this government was campaigning, they promised 50,000 jobs. Where are those jobs? They come out with these little part-time jobs. That's not working. Because when you have to deal with your landlord at the end of the month, he doesn't say, oh, you work part-time, give me a part-time rent. No, you got to come up with a full rent. Then they're building what's called houses, Mark. Those things look like dark kennels. Who are supposed to live in those? Well, there's a single mother with 4 children. Where is she housing herself with 4 children in that thing that we are viewing here right now? Come on, man. This government got to be real, man.
Shame and a disgrace. Shame and a disgrace.
Guyanese are some of the richest people per capita in this world, but the money is not coming down the pyramid. It's not meeting the people. The government is suppressing all the money. They are lining their pockets. They don't have a commitment to the people.
None whatsoever.
I say this also hoping that the opposition is listening, because I am anticipating a regime change. And whomever decides to take the reins as government in Guyana, you could trust me, on 107.1 FM, we'll be watching you.
Absolutely. We will be watching. We will be watching. We'll be sitting down and we'll be reading a book and we'll be drinking some nice marby instead of smoking some rotten, outdated, expired cigar and cognac or whatever you call it in a Cowpen bar. And those of you who go out to James Bond's place, we're calling on you to boycott it. Boycott it. Let him learn a lesson, just like Kashif and Shanghai did. Boycott his business. Mr. Crawford, your closing remarks, please, sir.
Local election. I have seen an interview where the chairperson, albeit a retired judge, who said She have all the experience with evidence and all these things. You've seen so many fraudulent outcry on this local election. Why is it that she stands in front of a reporter and saying nobody has given her any evidence of fraud? If you are an astute citizen as you once claimed to be, and you're seeing all of this thing on social media, in the news, you're telling me that GCOM has no ways and means to look at these lists? Why can't Claudette call Barrett and Aubrey and say, listen, what really is going on in social media? Why is it that there's so much things that's coming out? We have to fix this. You cannot say that you're going to run off an election with all this fraudulent information and then claim that you're a retired judge. It brings the question, what was happening on the bench when you were there? If you are going to allow a election to go with all this fraud that is uncovered in front of you, and you were on the bench, you know how many people are starting to wonder if their sentences or what happened was just? Two, the opposition needs to hammer. When I said hammer all the issues and break the backs of these people who wants the local election. The local election must be stopped. You cannot go to the polls with all of this nonsense. You're having people that aren't in the country, but their signatures on paper. You have people who have dead or on there or as backwards. We are trying to attract people to improve tourism, to get our oil sector going, and the forgotten issue of agriculture so we can provide and able to bring down the cost of living. But if you're having all this fraudulent behavior, how are you going to be able to help the nation to grow and to go forward? You're subjecting yourself to being an embarrassing entity by allowing all the fraudulent thing, and everyone who is complicit in this thing needs to be held accountable. Anil Giddings was telling an individual that the local election will be run by law, by the laws of Jacob. 3 days later, all of these things are being uncovered, yet no one has been arrested, no one has been held accountable, and the election is still not put back. So we are seeing, you're saying to the general public and to the ears of whoever you want to please, oh, we're going to do this thing by the law. But yet, for all, you're taking everything that's fraudulent and want to change it. So you're doing the same thing that you did with Order 60 to make it legal. So the fraudulent list will become legal and binding and bound by it because it was accepted. Albeit because if you don't contest, you give a walkover to the opposition. So we are seeing that people who once were admired, you're now beginning to wonder, were you admiring the devil or were you admiring someone who has the integrity? Why me as an individual who have gone past the 70 would not want to do the right thing morally to help my country and to leave a legacy that we're somebody who could say, 30 years ago, JR was a guy who made sure that we had an honest election, regardless of the outside pressure or the threats. Claudette Singh claimed to be this iron lady. What has happened? Was she thrown into a furnace that she can't have our quality? We need to understand that this is important for future generations, not only black people. This has nothing to do with black and Indian anymore. It has to do with all Guyanese. And I have said to some of the coalition folks that are elected, stop speaking about black support. You are there to support and to make good for every living Guyanese, regardless if you're Hindu, Muslim, Portuguese, Chinese, Coolie or black. And many of them have not. They may think I'm joking, but I am very, very happy that I'm not half of no race, because I don't have to be aligned with anything. We're seeing this racism which is destroying us, and some people are saying the fraud is okay because we don't want black man rule away. The fraud is okay because Coolie man have a rule. We need to get away from these things and put people and hold them accountable for making every Guyanese a happy person. We must stop thinking about black and Coolie now and start to think as Guyanese.
Definitely, we get that point. Mr. Crawford, you are often on the show, so you have lots to talk on the next occasion you're on, possibly next week. Sorry that I had to cut you there. We're looking at the time. We really do have to go, but as always, I want to thank you two gentlemen for being as brave as you are to come on here to talk to the people. The pressure is up on the PPP. We're seeing it. They're trembling. All of their cohorts are trembling. They're running scared. Some of them are even running mad. We see it every day. They can't take the pressure. They're losing it. The Looney Tunes are losing it. And let me say this here. They have a lot more to lose. They have a lot more mental institutions that some of them will be in, because we are not going to give up. They can talk. They can jump on the mountaintop and say whatever. We are not going to be distracted. We will give them lash back again, and we will continue to stay focused to represent the interest of the Guyanese people. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much. God bless you all. See you guys hopefully next week.
Good night.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. All right, J.R. Crawford there, and J.R. Crawford and Mr. Wayne Caesar. Look, we've got to stay focused, guys. We've got to continue on the track on bringing down this illegal regime that has been riddled with corruption upon corruption upon corruption. We're not going to be distracted by the Looney Tunes. We're not going to be distracted by the ones who are suffering from mental illness and whatever the case is. This is not to condemn folks who are suffering from mental illness. Those who are suffering from that, I encourage them to take their medication. I encourage them. Do not allow them to just run loose, run out of their cow pen and go on social media and blah, 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 because that's all they can do. Blah, 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 blah. We're seeing it. We're seeing it. And sometimes we take a little prayers for them because they need help. They need help. Of some of them that we talk about, the unmentionable rags. We know of some of them who are afraid and ashamed. They're no political asset any longer. They're a liability. They are a liability. They're hanging on straw. These are the individuals who rush up on social media and say that they're suicidal, they're everything. They're not man enough. They cannot man up. They got to come out. At least you could say that Chase Green and others are brave enough to put on their red T-shirt. But just imagine a man is hiding in a closet. Someone who's supposed to be a man is hiding in a closet and is afraid to put on his red T-shirt. Just imagine that, right? Anyways, we'll be back again. We'll continue exposing the corrupt regime and their friends who are on the U.S. watch list. We'll continue to expose them. A new ambassador is heading to Guyana, hopefully soon. But what we do know is that Sarah Ann Lynch is on her way out. We'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. Same place, same time. And guess what? We have a new donkey with us. Let me introduce that new donkey and give you that opportunity to give this new donkey a name. Did you see that new donkey? Here you go again. Give this new donkey a name. Again, watch carefully and give this new donkey a name. I love you guys. God bless you and have a great rest of the night. So long.
Guyana, really nice. Guyana, it's a nice place.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Show it up, show it up. It's an umbrella party, man, umbrella party. All are welcome to this party we hosting for carnival. We be waving and toasting. There's no need to pay. It's time to break away. It's time to free your mind. Yes, it's plenty time. Bring out your umbrella. Show me your umbrella. Open your umbrella. Raise it. Push up your umbrella. Higher. Bring your brown and your black and your pink and your green. Push it up in the air. Make some noise. What I seen with your blue and your red and your gray and your white. Raise it up in the air. Spin it round like a kite. It's an umbrella party. On the streets we carry on. Umbrella party. Laughing and we having fun. Umbrella party. Mixing and we jumping around. Umbrella party. Throw your wheels push it in the air. Push it in the air. Raise it in the air. Raise it in the air. Show it in the air. Way up in the air. Way up in the air. It's an umbrella party. On the streets we carry on. Umbrella party. Laughing and we having fun. Umbrella party. Mixing and jumping around. Umbrella party. Oh boy. You ready for this one? You ready for this one? Yeah, man. Who goes there? It protects you from the rays of the sun and shelters you